Alrighty then, back once again for another reaction. This time it's Once Upon a Time, Season 3, Episode 4. I said I'd get a reaction up this week. It is technically the end of the week, but it is this week. I am trying to do it. I had to note down some notes from the wrap-up to catch myself up on what's going on. I have Hook offered sympathy and information for David. He has a few weeks left on average. He definitely won't see summer, but I think it was pretty good that we've been given a generous time frame so it doesn't put him in too much immediate danger, so the drama can call upon his condition when necessary. Like, I think that's a wise move. Because it's a fatal prognosis if they can't get a hand on some dust, but at the same time it's manageable in the sense of the arc. So I'm happy with that. We met Tinkerbell. She was very naive sort, but the likable kind. She had a very likable story and a very convincing reason for getting a little bit twisted up over the betrayal. But she's going to help us, which is a good thing. But not before it was revealed to us that Regina, the soulmate that she passed up the opportunity to meet, was Robin Hood of all people. That continues to blow my mind till this very moment. That Regina, Miss Evil Queen of Self, is soulmates, essentially, with Robin Hood. And I already said I like that Robin Hood is involved in Once Upon a Time because he is my local legend as a person that lives in Nottinghamshire. Like, that whole legend of Nottingham with Robin Hood and stuff, that's my home turf. So I find it absolutely hilarious, by the way, that my local legend is the Evil Queen's soulmate. That's fantastic. That is really fantastic. And obviously the final point is Belfair has made it to Neverland, so he's gonna meddle however he can, and we're gonna see where that goes. Another thing that interested me from the previous episode is that Henry keeps proving himself time and time again to be quite the independent, defiant child, and I look forward to seeing how else he's going to be able to express that side of himself. Because, as I said, I think it would be a great coming-of-age arc for Henry if he got out of most situations with his own thinking and by himself, because he's been doing very well so far. To say he doesn't have any outwardly expressed magical powers at this point, I think he's been a very brave little boy. He's been doing really good, especially when he turned the crossbow on Pan. Like, Henry, you little badass! Like, he probably even knew it wasn't going to work, but as a statement of intent, it made him look so cool. And as I said, I think Pan respects his fighting spirit. That he's not just some meek little kid. I think he as a mischievous spirit, I'm sure Pan absolutely loves Henry, alright? Even though I'm sure Henry doesn't feel the same. But anyway, I'm excited to see where our thread leads us next. So that is where we shall be heading next. Well, that was a heck of a way to end that. I really liked how they dramatised that with slowing it down and playing the music slowly. You have the slow motion of everyone dancing and Henry slowly starting to join in because I can hear the music. He's getting brainwashed and oh no, it's putting big holes in my Henry the Badass plan. But this was a very heavily focused Bay and Rumpel episode, and I am here for it. Like, okay, I was a bit skeptical of bringing Neil into the arc. I did think, are we shoehorning too many characters in? Like, is this actually going to lead somewhere? I did not expect that he would immediately be reunited with his father and that we'd already resolve between them the whole "my son is dead" thing. I thought that would be prolonged a little bit more, if I'm being completely honest. I'm very glad that it was resolved quickly and he sought him out. And they did have some pretty good moments together, including the very neat plan to paralyze Pan with the handle because they knew he'd catch the arrow rather than the tip. Very five-head of Neil there. That was really cool. But then, tragically, as the flashback showed, Peter Pan's Pied Piper exposed just how, paranoid and controlling Rump really was towards his own son, and it pushed him away. And all of the shitty things that happened throughout Bay and Neil's life as a result of Rumpelstiltskin's desires and actions he is entirely valid for not believing his words, even though, because we've been able to view it from the other side of the fence, we know there is some grain of truth that he does at least want to save Henry for now, regardless of what happens later. Like, he did come intending to sacrifice himself and atone for his son's death, but now his son's come back. As Neil said, I can't trust now that you won't revert to your, what did he call it? It's not self-serving, it's self-preserving. That's it. There's self-preservational tendencies. So we can't guarantee those aren't going to come up again very soon and you go back to your original plan of killing Henry. Like, you just can't take that risk. And, he's his father, and so he has every right to be afraid for him. Like, it's a very difficult situation where you can see both sides of it. And, Neil was ultimately right. Like, I don't think you've earned enough credit to trust you on this yet. Like, I know how you are. I grew up with you. Like, it's a very hard bias to break when you've been subjected that much to the kind of stuff that he does. And I really felt for Emma, breaking down a little bit in front of her parents, it's really starting to get to her and, quote, piss her off with how too little too late finding out Neil still loved her was, because she realised in that moment she still loved him and stuff like that. And, they still think he's dead and... And then, as I said, I was about to get emotional when Mary Margaret started talking about how she felt horrible because she didn't know how to comfort her daughter, and that's the first thing a mother learns, and blah blah blah. Like, that was getting to me, it really was. But then they completely derailed me from getting emotional by making me go, oh no, because they brought up the whole thing of, oh, if you died, I'd never be able to move on. Like, that's the last thing a dying man wants to hear. Oh my gosh, I really felt for David in that moment. He really did not need to hear any of that. The poor dear has no idea what she's just done to his psyche. That is unfortunate. And, oh my gosh, that's what makes this such good writing though, because it pulls at the heartstrings. Very interesting that the Pied Piper legend was mentioned. As I say, I think they've only really done that to make a sort of wordplay on the pan flute, the pan pipes, or whatever. Like, I think that's what they did, but it still works, because it's still like manipulating people, and I like the parallel between the two dancers around the fires and stuff like that. Very troubling, as I say, that Henry seems to have been swept up in it now. I'm hoping that doesn't last long. But wow, I enjoyed that Hook got to have another one-on-one with David. Like, mate, stop acting tough and tell your family what's going on. Like, it's getting a bit ridiculous. And one of the great examples of Once Upon a Time dialogue that's so effective for the characters in this series is when David's like, why do you care so much? Why don't you? Says Hook. He said it so quickly as well, and I was like, oh, that is an ace comeback, Hook. I appreciate that. I appreciate you and what you are contributing with your words in this arc. Like, very clever from Neil, by the way, to leave behind the coconut with holes in so that they could see a map that, fair enough, only he can decipher, but I'm sure that now that they've set that up, he will be back there at a certain point to read his own map when they need it to get home. But as I say, I really love the actor for Pan. Pan as a character has grown on me episode to episode as someone I really, really like to see on screen. He has this like upbeat but sneering charisma about him, as I say, that sort of makes him the new Dark One in terms of how I felt towards Rumple in the earlier seasons. Like, I think he's filling that role here. He may not have as much pure magical abilities, you know, he could still get frozen like anyone else. He doesn't seem to like cast too much like in the way of outward magic and stuff like that. He just like controls the people around him and stuff. He's more of a Discord, really. like a Q of Star Trek or something. Yeah, I really love the way his whole character, and thus the actor, carries himself. I think he's very charismatic whenever he's on screen, and just like Ron, a lot of the things he says cut deep. Like he like cuts to the heart of the matter, and he gets really intense. I like how he drove that point home against the Dark One. Like he knew exactly what he was exposing, and what especially gets me is how he treats everything like a giant game. He's like, I'm going to reset the pieces. And I said to Neil, it's like, you never left. Like, you're back here and stuck. Like, you know, it's almost like he let him leave knowing he would eventually come back. So it's like, well, really, it was just a temporary leave. I never let you go. Like, he's getting all technical and stuff. I love it. I really love this, like, fun, mischievous guy that he's been portrayed as. It makes him a lot more interesting than someone who was just plain, like, stoically, nastily evil, you know, like a typical villain. I really love a mischievous villain. That's why Bill Cipher in Gravity Falls, one of my favourite antagonists of all time in fictional media. That is just something that really vibes with me, and Peter Pan is big vibes right now. But yeah, this arc as a whole is big vibes right now with me. Once Upon a Time, big vibes, and I hope this reaction, big vibes. I felt like there were a lot of moments in here where I was like stunned into silence, because it's like I've got to pay attention to this wonderful dialogue, this wonderful script, this wonderful acting, and it's like it's the duality of reacting to a very, very interesting yet detail-heavy show. It's like I don't want to miss a lot, but I also feel like I have to make a comment on what I'm seeing. And at the end of the day, all I can say is how much I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. It's great. This is a great show, and I can't wait to get into the next episode. Hopefully I'll be doing that soon, and I shall see you guys next time.